Hello, good evening. This is Kalyan Karmakar here from a rather balmy evening in Bandra in Mumbai. And I'm coming to you live after what seems like almost like a million years to me. Um, you know, and well, and I'll tell you why I came alive. So yesterday, Kana suddenly told me that Atul Khatri, whose Instagram handle is 1 by 2, had done a 100th anniversary of his show, which is called Only Positive News. So he started this during the lockdown. In fact, just before the lockdown had started, and then almost every day he would do these live sessions of videos, which we would catch up at night at the end of the day, and where, like he said, he would be giving only positive news, and at that time the world was so different, so bleak. We were all in lockdown, no physical contact with almost anyone. Going out was almost like out of the question. We were not meeting anyone. If you'd step out at all, everything would be shut. It was a surreal world, and we were by ourselves and doing everything, and like all of you were, and I must say that we are probably a lot luckier than many. But at night, going and watching Atul Khatri's broadcast 1 by 2, only positive news was something which Kenas and I would really look forward to. And that is the time when I think this entire live movement really came up, whether it was on Instagram or Facebook. I think even YouTube has a live, and Twitter, of course, Periscope. So I used to do lives much earlier. Then I sort of lost interest on live, and then during the lockdown, I started doing lives again. And the entire idea was to just connect with all of you out there. So I would just sit at my desk, and at that time I didn't have a stand. I now have a stand for the mobile. So at that time I'd prop my phone on two or three books, or maybe like one pen stand, pen holder or whatever, and talk. And then sometimes my cat, and at that time we had only one cat, Baby Loaf, no little Nimki. So he would come and surface, and people would get very excited. Well, all of you who are Baby Loaf fans, let me just switch the camera around. And there he is. He's sort of dozing and resting right in front of my workstation today. And he's been there since this afternoon, ever since I came and sat down to write. And he was sort of facing me belly first, so which is a sign of great trust. And he was looking at me while I wrote, and then I did a little bit of shavasana to rest and relax, and so was him. And then I got up and I thought that let me also do a live, because it's been a long time, and I thought that let me speak to you about something. And it's great to see so many people joining in and connecting. So it reminds me of those days. Of course, those days are gone in a sense, because in Mumbai, in India, we are not really in lockdown. There have been certain partial restrictions put in again, and I believe that the COVID cases are going up, and so we have to keep our guard up and our masks on, social distancing as much as possible, hand hygiene. These are things which we need to sort of keep observing. But things are different. Like today in the afternoon, I'd gone to meet Nidhi Agarwal, who runs bookerworkshop.in, and her fiance Darnesh. So they were both in town from Nasik. So we had a quick work meeting at Candy's, and I also saw a little cat over there who came and nuzzled beside me. So I've become some sort of like a, cats come up and say hi to me, and I've become a cat person, which is very strange, given I was not one. But this is the person who's responsible for that. We now have a second cat compared to those early days of the lockdown, which is little Nimki, and he's sleeping in the other room. Now, since I'm here, I thought I would do a Foodocracy India broadcast podcast, because that's what I used to do my lives with. And Foodocracy India, as for those of you who've heard the podcast before, either live or recorded on IGTV or on my podcast, is where I speak about eateries, which we love across India. So these are family-run places, street food places, a lot of heritage perhaps, but maybe not much of social media marketing. But these are places which we've loved and love. And when I started Foodocracy India, at that time it was in lockdown and everything was shut. So the idea was to just to keep a little bit of positive vibes around them. And now things have opened, and restaurants are open, cafes are open, street food places are open, whether in Mumbai or, when I see pictures, like for example, Thomas Zacharias, when he was going across Uttaranchal and putting pictures over there, we saw street food places open. Rocky and Mayur's videos, Kunal Vijayakar has been going to some street food places. It sort of perturbs me a bit that no one seems to be wearing masks at any of these places. But well, at least business is back. Now, I was thinking of which place I should talk of today, and then all this bread talk, baby loaf. In fact, my friend Varnika said that someone had messaged her recently saying that that lady apparently sort of liked the content which I put out. She found it very relatable, but she couldn't remember my name, so she told Varnika of Delectable Reveries, "Oh, baby loaf ka papa." So I felt good hearing that. But thinking of loaves, I thought that I should tell you about Yazdani Bakery. And I was rather surprised that I have not so far in Foodocracy India, because it's such an integral part of the Bombay or Mumbai food experience for me. It's I've written about Yazdani Bakery in my book The Traveling Belly, blog Finely Chopped, various other places, and when I do my food walks in Fort, that's normally where it starts. So there's also a bit of a bittersweet aspect or angle to this podcast, which you will realize as I speak on and tell you about it. So Yazdani Bakery is an Irani bakery, and there are very few Irani bakeries left. But who are the Iranis? So the Iranis are people who came from Iran, Zoroastrians, but they came in the mid 1800s. So it's a bit different from the Parsis. So the Parsis came about 2000 odd years back to India, or was it 200? No, they're 2000 odd years back, while the Iranis came about 200 years back in the mid 1800s. They came to India and via Gujarat to their home, right? Now they were wondering what to do in terms of business and trade or whatever, and then some of them set up these bakeries, because they also, many of them came from this place called Yazd in Iran, where there's a strong baking sort of tradition, and also that was a time when, from what I understand, there was a bit of a bread baking revolution happening in Mumbai and probably some of the other cities of India, like Kolkata, for example. Bit thanks to the British who were ruling India at that time, though the bread baking culture was brought into the country, I'm told, by the Portuguese. So the Portuguese were the ones who introduced the art of baking to Calcutta, to Mumbai, and in Mumbai it was the Goans. And yeah, this reminds me why I stopped doing lives. One of the reasons are those the dropping internet connections and Wi-Fi. Anyway, coming back to that little bit of history lesson which I'm giving you. So the Goans and the Iranis were the people who started opening the bakeries, and where they learned the craft from the Portuguese, and in the 1800s and so on. So they started making them. And the Iranis also opened corner shops, literally corner shops, like at the junction of two roads, because the property was cheaper there, because people wouldn't take that thinking it's inauspicious. So the Iranis took those places and opened provision stores, which then became the first restaurants, the Irani cafes or Irani bakeries as well. Not all Irani bakeries are Zoroastrian Iranis. There are also Muslim Irani owned bakeries as well, and of course a few Goan bakeries. So like for example in Mumbai, very few, like American Express and so on, would be Goan bakeries which are here. And of course Goa has its own baking culture, and the bakers are called the poders, and they have the poi and the pav and the katrachi pav and so on. I don't think that too many Irani bakeries left in Mumbai now. One of the most famous ones is Kayani at near the Xavier's College, which is also a large restaurant over there. And then there is Yazdani Bakery. So Yazdani Bakery, from what I gather, is about 60 years old in Mumbai, and it's in Fort, which is in South Mumbai, and very close to where the Starbucks is now over there, which is a bit funny to give as a reference, but it's also near the area of Lakshmi Building, Bombay Stores, and just opposite St. Thomas Church, which I think is the oldest British church in British founded church in Mumbai, St. Thomas Church. So it's a Protestant church. It's so When you go there, you'll find Yazdani Bakery, and the building looks a bit funny. It's a bit pagoda-like, and I found out that that's apparently because there used to be a Japanese bank over there once upon a time, and they'd made it a bit like a Japanese pagoda, and then that's where Yazdani Bakery was set up. So the baking happens in the same place. So if you go inside, which you normally don't get access to, but if you're nice, then you do, and we've had the pleasure of doing that. Then you can go in and see the vast baking area and this huge wood-fired oven where they make the very very soft bread loaves. I bought the bread loaves from there. They're as soft as baby loaf, whom you can see over there, and so they make bread loaves, they make paos, they make brun paos, which are more crusty, and then there is a electric oven in which they make the biscuits. They're quite popular for their ginger biscuits and curry biscuits and so on, and yeah, so and also the apple pie, very very rich, full of raisins and so on. There's not much non-veg there. You get a egg puff, but I think that's about it. And you can have chai, a milky sort of sugary tea. Now, all of this you can get if you Google, or if you go to my blog, or if you go to I've done videos on them on my channels and so on. But let me tell you a bit about my experience and relationship with Yazdani Bakery. So I first found out about the place maybe in around 2010 or something, when I was working in TNS, and we were at Lakshmi Building in Fort for a while. And the first evening when my team and I were there, we went in the evening to Yazdani Bakery. So some of my colleagues who are familiar with South Mumbai, so they said, let's go there in the evening, and we went there, and we had some of the paos and the cakes and the mawa cakes and the tea. And I remember there was this Parsi lady with us in the team. So she went and spoke to the people at the counter, and then got us permission, and I got to actually go in and see the bakery. And Nidhi Arora saying best bread pudding I've ever had was at Yazdani. I agree. And they also make a fabulous Christmas cake, very very boozy during Christmas. So then subsequently I would often go in over there, and then when I do food walks, I would take people over there. I think the first person I took in there was Zand Clay, who's writes food writer for the Telegraph in the UK. And then with time, I got to know the people over there, and very interesting people. And that's where the bittersweet part of this podcast comes in, because I remember once going in there, and I would see these elderly people at the counters, and one young person, like middle-aged, like he was elder to me. He's elder to me. So his name is Tirandaz Irani. So he is, I think, the second generation of the owners. So I once went up to Tirandaz and said, "Can I, go in and photograph?" So he said, "Yeah, you go in, but don't let my papa and uncle know. Huh? You quickly go, see everything, photograph, and then come out." So I did that, and that became a ritual. And soon after that, I started my food walks. In fact, my second Find Each Out food walks was in Fort, and we started with Yazdani Bakery, and it then became a ritual. And sometimes when I'd have people with me, I would, if Tirandaz was there, I said, "Can I go in?" He said, "Go, go, 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 quickly go before Papa and Uncle see me." So who's Papa and Uncle? So Papa is was Parvez Irani, and I'll tell you why I'm saying was, and Uncle was Zend. So he was like the family patriarch. I'm not too sure whether they were the founders or whether they were the second generation people running it. So Zend Irani was a legend. So if you'd go to Yazdani Bakery, and by the time when I would often see him, and he was suffering from Parkinson's by then, and bent over and trembling because of the disease. But the disease did not win over his spirit. Did not win over his spirit. So he would be sitting there every day at the cash counter. When I'd go, I'd see Zen, and when he was there, then he was the boss man, and the waiters would go to him, give the change back to us, and he would ensure that everyone's being served properly. The waiters were also very friendly, and I remember once there was this time when I'd gone in the evening with a food walk I was doing with a large corporate group from Procter and Gamble, and there were the marketing people from all across the world who'd come, and I was taking them there. So we'd gone there. I think as soon as it was closing hour, and I was entering with these people when the staff said that no, abhi band ho gaya. It's 6:30 and we are shutting down. So we thought that okay, we'll leave, and everyone was a bit disappointed, but so be it. When suddenly a car came and stopped. I'm not sure whether it was a white Nano or a Zen or something, and then I saw a big gathering or a bit of a commotion happen in front of Yazdani Bakery, and the staff was there, and then I saw that Zend was out of the car and bent and shaking because of Parkinson's, but he was gesticulating very vigorously to his staff members, and then suddenly we all stopped to see what was happening, and then suddenly the staff members who knew me, and then of course said that come in, and then so it turned out that Zen told them that no, so many people have come, and they've come here, and we have to feed them. So they opened the store for us again, and we had our chai, we had our curry biscuits, we had our mawa cakes, we had our paos, we had our brun paos, and it was such a lovely, wonderful experience. And I would treasure every time I would go to see him. I remember there was a time when I'd gone with a smaller group of food walk people, and there was a couple from abroad, an American or an Australian couple, and Zend Irani was having a chicken sandwich when we came in, and he saw them, and then he insisted that they share the chicken sandwich with him, and sometimes he would be having an ice cream. Now the bittersweet part of it is somewhere midway during the lockdown we lost him, and there was the news that he'd passed away, and it was bittersweet because for so many of us, such a big part of the Yazdani Bakery experience was seeing Zen. And while we had seen him at a time when the Parkinson's had sort of overwhelmed him physically, but he was actually a boxer, and he used to show us pictures of his youth, and when he was a strapping boxer and so on, and lauding the things. In fact, Vikram Doctor told me that Vikram Doctor, the food writer, told me that when the Bombay riots had happened, like Yazdani Bakery was the only place which stayed open, and Vikram and a whole lot of his friends were sort of trying to do relief duty during the curfew at the affected areas, and he would keep Yazdani Bakery would keep bread ready, and it would go with the volunteers to all these places. Okay, I need to show Loaf to you, who's woken up and sort of giving a salute in a sense to the memory of Zend and the loaves. Now, then there was Parvez Irani, who's the younger brother of Zend and the father of Tirandaz, so the papa which Tirandaz would talk of. So, like my friend Kurush Dalal says, that in a sense he was the one who was actually running it in the last few years, and when I'd go there, then with time he'd sort of warmed up to me, and I'd go and speak to him. And sometimes when I'd go with people on my food walk, and I'd ask him, "Can we go in?" He would say, "Yeah, yeah, okay, go in." And there were times when I remember once I'd gone with Shaheen, who was known as the Purple Foodie, and since then she's gone abroad to study bakery, and she's, I think, working now. Shaheen Bambot, I don't know, but Shaheen Purple Foodie. And I remember I'd taken her to Yazdani Bakery because she was so much into baking, and Parvez going up to her and saying, "Are you married?" So she said, "No, I think she was engaged or something at that time." So he said, "Listen, I have these Parsi boys, two Parsi boys, and they're looking for a wife. So should I, talk to them about you?" So it was like it is a lot of lovely memories, and he was a man with a good, wonderful sense of humor, very very warm. He'd had a bit of afflictions in the last few years. He'd had a fracture and so on, but. I again read some very, very devastating news on my friend Kurush Dalal's Facebook page a few days back, and this I think has just passed, and we've not even realized it because not really read about it in the papers and so on. But it seems that Parvez Irani has also passed away, and that's so sad. Like as Nidhi Arora, who's commenting right now, that people like Zend, who spoke to her and her husband for an hour about his love for football, or because they're having a Euro trip. Or I remember, when I very very recently when I had met Parvez before the lockdown, one of my last trips to Yazdani Bakery, and they were, and I'd gone with some foreign folks on the food walk. I'm not too sure who it was or which country, but it was a Western country. And they said that we've come from Germany, or yeah, there were these journalists from Germany whom I'd taken there. So Parvez said, "Oh, why have you come here? I mean, this is that's much a nicer life. But okay, now come and sit, and you'd love to take photographs and stuff." So I can only wish the best to the people at Yazdani Bakery, and to Tirandaz and his cousin, who are sort of taking the legacy ahead. I know that there were times it's a completely different world. Forget social media handles or anything like that. They don't even have phone numbers or things like that. Once Tirandaz very proudly told me that he has a Hotmail or a Rediff mail email account. I think he's a few years elder to me, maybe in the early 50s and so on. And he had sometimes these plans where he would say that, maybe I need to he needs to put an air conditioning there, or a toilet. And then he said, "Oh, why are you coming here? Just go to the lovely coffee shop there." And he's talking of Starbucks. Well, that's the Iranis for you. I love it how Baby Loaf's sort of listening to this broadcast. Yeah. Yes. So he would. And he would say that he would have all these plans to sort of modernize it by putting air conditioning, or putting a toilet and so on. But he said that the elders don't listen to me. So when Tirandaz, now the elders, your Papa Parvez, your uncle Zen, they are now in the happy hunting grounds upstairs. So I'm sure you and your family are going to take the Yazdani Bakery legacy ahead, because Mumbai needs you. There will be enough new cafes, enough new chains. There'll be enough new coffee roasters. There'll be enough new bakeries. But Mumbai without places like Yazdani Bakery would be so incomplete for me. A visit to Fort without Yazdani Bakery would be so incomplete. Like I know that when I walk into Yazdani Bakery, whether I have work or not, so sometimes it's not part of my food walks, or maybe I've gone for something else, but I would always go to Yazdani Bakery and say hi to Tirandaz, to his father Parvez, who's now no more, to his uncle Zensen, who's now no more, and I'll sit there and have a milky sugary tea, and some bun maska, which is the fruit bun, or some pav maska, or brun pav. Brun pav is the crusty thing with butter. And Kainaz would say that the toothless Parsi grannies used to love this uh, crusty bun because they can dip it into tea and then it becomes soft. And that's one of the few hard things which they could eat. And then what else? The curry biscuits which I would pick up and get home, and the apple tart or the apple cake which they were so proud of, the apple pie, and the ginger biscuits, the Christmas cake, you know, just getting photographed over there, just sitting, it's we nowadays we're talking about slow life and so on, but just sitting over there at Yazdani Bakery is where the world uh, sort of recharged itself, refreshed itself. During the lockdown, we were talking of bubbles, happy bubbles, comfort bubbles. It doesn't get any happier here bubble or more comforting or more cushioning than at the Yazdani Bakery. So, guys, thanks so much for joining and listening. This is Kalyan Karmakar. I'm going to sign off from this podcast where I was speaking to you about Yazdani Bakery in South Mumbai in my series Foodocracy India, where I speak about eateries across the country which we love and where India loves to eat, like I say it, and sort of remembering or revisiting the early days of the lockdown where one had done some podcasts like this. Good to see friends, Vasundhara, Palki, Jani and Parth Bajaj. Thanks for saying hi, Imran Ahmed. Hi to you too. Sania, hi to you. Chef Mayank of ITC, if you're there, still big hi to you as well. And Surab Jasawala, he's a Parsi, was in Delhi for some time. He's back here again. Priyanka. So good to see, friends and connecting with them. And if you're in Fort, if it's possible, drop in at the Yazdani Bakery and have a ban maska and chai from me. And Rusat Dive is saying, good to hear you speak about food. Well, I've got two other series, Foodocracy Kitchens, where I speak about the food of home chefs in Mumbai, and I record these and put these up, and Foodocracy for Her, where once a week I interview women in the Indian food and beverage industry. I'd started that as well as Instagram Live, but now I do recording and put it up in IGTV, YouTube, and so on. And this coming week, I have an interview coming up with Anahita Rondi, who's Parsi, and it's on Navroz. So, well, that's it. Foodocracy India had started when we were in lockdown. We are not in lockdown now, but we still need to be cautious and till we all get vaccinated and get on top of the vaccine. But till then, mask up, avoid social gatherings. Keep to social distancing. I think avoid meeting people as much as possible. Hand hygiene. And if you needed a reason to smile or a little bit of cuddle, then there is baby Loaf, which I know is the reason why many of you have joined this podcast to see him. So it was lovely talking to all of you. And this is Kalyan Karmakar signing off from this broadcast on Foodocracy India, where I spoke to you about Yazdani Bakery in South Mumbai. It's an Irani bakery. It's in Fort. To use modern terminology, it's pretty close to the it's pretty close to the Starbucks at Fort and Foodziela, Occupy, and it's also. And let me tell you about some other places. If you're at Yazdani Bakery, hop across to Moti Halwai and have a lassi over there. Maybe you can go earlier to Apurva and have some gassi, Mangalorean food, or go across to Ideal Corner and have Parsi food. Navroz is coming up. So lots and lots of lovely eateries there. And I'm going to sign off now. And I'm Promit, Yazdeni Karmakar. So, yeah, so am I. Okay, Kalyan signing off from Mumbai. I've said this some 15 times. But okay, bye. Take care. Bye, everyone. Chicken gatsi is like what Food Sila likes. I like the prawn gatsi too.